Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we are diving deep into the 2025 State of DevOps report. We're going to look at the key trends, the must-have tools, and really figure out what separates the truly elite teams from everyone else. And, what does this all mean for how we're going to build software in the future?
So, to really get why DevOps is such a big deal now, you kind of have to rewind and look at the original problem it was designed to solve. For decades, there was this massive wall, right? The folks writing the code were in one world, and the people responsible for actually running that code were in a completely different one.
Yeah, think about it. On one side, you've got your development teams. Their whole world is about moving fast, shipping new features, and making cool stuff. But then, on the other side, you have operations. Their job is all about stability. Keep the lights on, don't let anything break. So, naturally, change is the enemy. You can see how this creates a huge conflict, and that's where DevOps came in. It was this revolutionary idea that became the bridge, both culturally and technically, to finally get everyone on the same page, aiming for the same goal, deliver amazing stuff to users fast and without breaking everything.
Right, so we're moving on. By 2025, DevOps has really evolved. It's not just a collection of tools or a buzzword you throw around in meetings anymore. No way. It has become an absolute strategic necessity. If your business wants to compete, let alone win, DevOps is no longer optional.
And that really gets to the core of it, doesn't it? When you boil it all down, DevOps is about people. It's a huge cultural shift, all about collaboration, automation, and this idea of constantly getting better. You use automation, sure, but it's not just to be faster. It's to create this flywheel of teamwork and improvement. That's the real engine that drives business agility.
All right, so let's talk about the 2025 DevOps Toolkit. What's actually happening on the ground? Let's dive into the key trends and the cool new innovations that are really defining the space today.
Okay, first up, and this will surprise absolutely no one, is the massive impact of AI and machine learning. We've gone way past the hype stage. These aren't just cool concepts anymore. They are real, practical tools that are completely changing the game for how teams work.
And this is where it gets really powerful. Think about this. Instead of waiting around for an alarm to go off when something breaks, AI can actually predict failures before they even happen. It can create test cases on the fly, and get this, it enables systems that can literally heal themselves, fixing issues automatically. This is a total paradigm shift. It turns teams from being reactive firefighters, always putting out the next blaze, into proactive problem solvers. And often, they fix things before a single user is ever affected. Incredible.
All right, next up is a huge one, the rise of platform engineering. A good way to think about it is it's DevOps for your DevOps teams. The whole point is to make life simpler for developers. As you know, infrastructure has gotten incredibly complex, and platform engineering is all about building internal tools and workflows to shield developers from all that complexity.
The goal here is basically to build what they call a paved road for developers. It's like a superhighway inside the company. You give them self-service tools, you reduce all that cognitive load, all the stuff they have to keep in their heads about infrastructure, and you just let them be independent. You let them focus their brain power on the one thing that really matters, writing great code that delivers value to the business.
And of course, you absolutely cannot have a conversation about modern DevOps without bringing up security. For way too long, security was this thing you did at the very end. It was like a final checkpoint, almost an afterthought. Well, DevSecOps completely throws that model out the window. The idea now is to weave security into the entire process, right from the very beginning.
The main idea is this concept called shifting left. All that means is dealing with security as early in the process as you possibly can. So you're automating security testing right inside your CI/CD pipelines, you're constantly monitoring for vulnerabilities. It's the difference between trying to bolt on security at the last minute versus baking it right into the recipe from the start. And this isn't just a best practice anymore. With new regulations like the EU's DORA, it's becoming a legal requirement.
Okay, so we've covered the strategy, we've talked about the tools, but what does this all add up to in the real world? Let's get into the numbers, because honestly, the data behind DevOps is just staggering.
Just look at the market size. We're talking about a projected $15.06 billion in 2025. That is a massive number, and it tells you one thing very clearly. Businesses are pouring serious money into this. This is not some passing trend. It's a fundamental shift in the industry.
And all that investment? Well, it shows up in the adoption rates. DevOps is officially mainstream. We're looking at about 80% of organizations around the world using DevOps practices now. That's huge.
It's not the exception anymore. It's pretty much the standard for how modern software gets built.
But this is where the story gets really, really interesting. It's the performance gap between the best and everyone else. And look, we're not talking about a small improvement here. The elite performers, they're playing a totally different game. They deploy code 208 times more often. And when something does go wrong, they recover 2,604 times faster. Just let that sink in. That is the insane competitive advantage we're talking about.
Now, of course, getting to that elite level isn't a walk in the park. It's more like a hurdle race. And there are some really common challenges that just about every organization runs into along the way. And these hurdles tend to pop up in the same places. The biggest one, almost always, is culture. Breaking down those old walls between teams. After that, you've got the skills gap, just finding people who know this stuff. Then there's the sheer complexity of all the tools out there. And finally, actually getting security properly integrated. The only way to clear these hurdles is with a solid strategy, one that really thinks about your people, your processes, and your platforms. Okay, so we've seen where we are. Now, where are we going? Let's peek over the horizon and talk about what's next for DevOps beyond 2025.
A few big trends are already starting to take shape. First, AI is going to get even more deeply embedded in, well, everything. We're also going to see a big push for these unified platforms to try and tame all that complexity. And interestingly, we're seeing a stronger connection to the business. Things like FinOps, which is all about controlling your cloud costs, and regulation as code, basically building compliance checks right into your automated pipelines.
But maybe the biggest shift coming our way is a focus back on the human side of things. Specifically, what's called developer experience, or DevEx. The smartest companies are figuring out that their secret weapon is happy, productive developers, so they're doing everything they can to empower them and remove any friction that gets in their way. In fact, developer satisfaction is starting to be treated as a key metric for success. It's a huge shift.
And that really brings us to the final big question you have to ask yourself. The world of DevOps is getting smarter, it's getting more connected, and it's getting way more strategic. So the only question left is your organization's strategy actually ready for what's coming? Are you ready?